Okay, guys, let's get to it. Big news. Bob, I'll start with you. LeBron James breaks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. Pretty interesting. One Laker to another. I never thought LeBron would be a Laker, but still, it was quite a moment. I like LeBron. Some people don't for some unknown reason, but I thought it was a great moment for him.
I salute him. That's my official salute. He's perfectly deserving. I am always on the, just crazy about these stupid LeBron haters. There's just no reason for it. It's stupid. Anyway, he's the appropriate person to do it, given the longevity. What this record reflects is two things: skill and longevity. You can't be the all-time scorer without longevity. He has taken the torch from a guy who played 20 years, and he is now playing 20 years. That's logical. It's a tribute in that regard. What I think is, there's many things to say about it, but I'll start with this. The most interesting thing about him being the all-time scoring leader, he's fourth in assists. And that tells you that my premise has always been, he's always been about team. He wants to win basketball games, and he wants to do it the best way possible. And the worst thing you could ever say about him as a player is that there was a period of he was too deferential for too long, right up to and including the 2011 finals. That was the catharsis. I don't know whether somebody got to him or he figured it out, but since that time, he's calibrated his great ability better and than he had before. And so I find it interesting last night's game, the fact that in the midst of the game and the 10-minute ceremony and all, oh, by the way, they lost. And he only had 3 in the fourth quarter. I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, I'm all on favor. I'm all aboard with this. Okay, and I love the way Kareem's handled it too. I think he's handled it great.
For me, guys, I don't know. I watched last night and I just had flashbacks to one of the first times I saw LeBron was 2001 at Fairleigh Dickinson University ABCD camp. And there was this huge matchup. It was build up of LeBron, this kind of, again, kid that you kind of heard about, but you didn't really know how good he was. And this kid named Lenny Cook, who was also a big time player out of New York. Right. And they were building up Lenny Cook as the next great thing. He was from New York, big, strong wing, 6'6", 230. And man, LeBron just ate his lunch, absolutely destroyed him. And that was when I just kind of came away saying, like, all right, this is special. This is somebody that can't miss, like completely can't miss. But did I ever think he would be the all-time leading scorer? Hell no. Nobody did. Again, you're watching him at that point, and, he was so physically dominant. And again, his IQ was off the charts, but you just didn't think that the scoring part would be so prolific. And also that honestly, his body would hold up the way it has. He's so big and strong. Again, you look at him and you're like, all right, he's going to have major injury problems throughout his career because of how physical he plays. You look at Zion, right? Zion, so big and strong, and look at what's happened with him already. But LeBron has taken care of his body. And to me, again, this GOAT conversation, guys, I grew up watching Michael Jordan, right? And I covered LeBron. For the better part of his career, I've covered LeBron to some extent. And I would say, why do we, I can't even pick. Guys, I can't pick between the two of them. Their games are so different, and the eras are so different. I cannot pick between those two, but I will say they're the best two players I've ever seen, and kind of for different but similar reasons. To me, they both made people better. MJ was more of a killer, right? He was more of a killer as a scorer. Just give him the ball and let him go to work. LeBron could do it in every facet, and they were both great defenders as well.
I can pick, and it is those two, the all-around player. Remember, when we're having this discussion, we have to separate the bigs, the centers, because their job description in the old days is totally different. Of course, they don't exist anymore. That's another topic for another day. The five, the classic job of a five is changed. We understand that. Okay, so but in terms of all-around player. We're talking about a guy who can pass and dribble and shoot and defend and do blah, blah, the whole package, and that restricts it. That eliminates the very bigs. It always has until now, and puts you in the mid-sized category. Can't be the point guards either. They're too small. They're not rebounding. They're not pointing the deal. Okay, it's those two. The differentiation is simply, to me, that you mentioned it. Look, if I'm playing for my life tonight, I got to have Michael.
Right. If
I
you,
wanna just
you know
sit
he's
back
going to take your lunch. Like he's
out
for blood.
Just enjoy the game. I wrote this in my book 10 years ago. I take Michael for my life, but I'd rather watch LeBron play. LeBron is bigger, stronger, faster, a better rebounder, and a better passer than Michael Jordan, period. Technically, he's better in more categories than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a flat-out more consistently good defender, better defender, although LeBron has made himself into a good one, but not at Michael's level. And Michael had that je ne sais quoi, that competitive, that cut the old, cut your heart out and give it to you with a glass of Chianti attitude that LeBron will never have. He's a nicer person in that sense,
Well, that's just it. I mean,
I just summarize it. Yeah. How they got to the peak of I've said this before, and I'll say it again. How they each got to the top of the mountain in their respective times. Okay, Michael didn't get there until he learned how to share. The 1987 Michael is not making those passes to John Paxson and Steve Kerr that helped him win championships. Okay, until he began to trust he wasn't winning. And I don't care what anybody says, they could have won earlier if he had had that attitude. And LeBron didn't win till he learned to accept the responsibility of being the best player on the floor and acting accordingly. He was too deferential. And then once he stopped being completely deferential, not completely, but too deferential, and figured out how to calibrate. The word I always use, calibrate. When you have that much of range of skill, it's hard to figure out exactly how to balance off the calibration. You can get a shot anytime you want at level, which those two can. That doesn't mean you should. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you should. And so that's the difference. Michael knew how to learn how to share. LeBron had to learn how to take charge.
You would rather have dinner with LeBron, but if you needed a win, you go with Michael.
No, I didn't say that. That's another matter entirely.
But that's my opinion. That to me,
really?
that says what you say, Bob. I mean, Bob, you're just saying that he's a nicer guy. LeBron is a nice guy. I mean, look, the only bad thing anybody ever said about him was somebody told me allegedly he's cheap at dinner, which I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, we used to say the same thing about Bird. And when he went to Miami, I mean, the decision, that was a mistake. Ooh.
But again, that was a mistake in which he was still young enough to listen.
Of course, and he took some bad advice. He took some bad advice, Jeff.
Right. That was,
but I would rather go to dinner with LeBron James than Michael Jordan. That's the way I look at it.
I like that. I never thought of it in those terms. I like that. Well, but as soon as you said it, I just think Michael might be a little bit more
entertaining,
stimulating than LeBron.
The stories,
stupid.
Listen,
but
the stories are going to be better from Michael than they are from LeBron.
I suppose. I guess
Michael didn't give a shit, right? Michael didn't worry as much about public perception. LeBron, especially after the decision, is concerned with public perception, and rightfully so. In this day and age of social media, you kind of have to be, right?
Right. Oh, right now, Michael, with what he went through with the gambling and how he went to play baseball, I mean, forget it. Social media, he'd have a tough go.
But we'll never know the whole truth.
No, we won't. We won't.
Michael's sabbatical.
No, we won't know. And I don't know if I want to know, to be honest with you. It's one of those things I don't know if I want to know. All right, guys, we got more coming up. We're going to talk about Kyrie's trade to Dallas. But first, we have to tell you about our client right here, HelloFresh. And let me tell you guys, see there, HelloFresh. All right, and this has made me an unbelievable cook here because it's real simple. What you do is you got 40 recipes. Like this one is like onion crunch chicken. You get 40 of these a week that you can choose from. Bob Ryan could even cook. So everything is in here. And the thing that's good for me is it's all pre-measured. So at the end of the day, you get that. The instructions are here. You basically use 2 pans. You put it in. Your kids come downstairs. Boom. My daughter even likes my cooking. I'm telling you. My wife will eat my cooking because I wasn't good at it before. You can eat well, you could save money. Tonight we're having onion crunch chicken, and tomorrow night we're having tostados supremo with pork. So maybe I'll have to have you guys over at some point. I don't have to go to the supermarket. I don't have to pre-measure stuff. I just take it out of the packages and I put it in and I follow the directions. It's as simple as that. I'm telling you guys, this is all absolutely true. You get, and the big thing is the flavor. Like last night, we had firecracker meatballs with a special sauce because everything is pre-measured. The flavor is perfect. So go to HelloFresh.com/Scribe65 and use code Scribe65 for 65% off plus free shipping. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. If Jeff, I'll start with you on this. If Kyrie was going to go to one place, it had to be Dallas because of Mark Cuban. I mean, you knew. I mean, the Al Davis of the NBA. He was the guy to make this deal.
Yeah, no, I think it made sense. It made all the sense in the world because if you're Dallas, you're not getting another big-time free agent in Dallas. You're just not. And you understand your ceiling with just Luka and those kind of auxiliary parts. You can't go beyond. Maybe you can get to the Western Conference Finals, but you got no chance to win this whole thing. So you know what? You roll the dice. Now, having said that, Boston rolled the dice. The Nets rolled the dice, and it backfired on both. So, Bob, what could be different with this one? You know, already Kyrie is saying that he felt disrespected in Brooklyn. So it's like he hasn't figured it out. He never will, in my opinion. So I don't know how anything is going to be different in Dallas than it has been in Boston or Brooklyn.
I should have known that the D word would come into the R word and the D word would come into play with him. She didn't, in the midst of all this, the 21st century word that drives me crazy. I was disrespected. Oh God, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I love when
Bob gets upset like this.
Disrespect. I don't want to hear it. The word that it shouldn't be allowed in sports. Anyway, yeah, you're right. There's good luck to them. This is, I said a tweet, this is Cleopatra and the Asp. You knew damn, or Al Wilson, the snake. You knew damn well I was a snake when you took me in. It's all out there. So they caveat emptor with him. Okay, Mark, good luck to you. Technically speaking, he fills a major void. He gives them a second option. He gives them a guard, which of great consequence. He is. Let's state the fact. I believe he's one of the handful of most talented guards that's ever played the game of basketball. He can get to the basket at will. He's fearless with shots making. He's versatile. He's made the single biggest and most important shot of the 21st century NBA Finals. All right, good for him. We know how talented he is, but it's that whole mind-body package that is perplexing. And there's no evidence based on that interview that he's whining about being disrespected in New Jersey that he's going to change anytime soon. There's no evidence. What's going to influence him is the change. He still thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He still isn't as smart as he thinks he is. And I truly believe that he's searching for something in life that he doesn't know what it is. And good luck to Dallas. They could have some success in this short run, however, and
that's generally what happens, right? With Kyrie,
right.
There's a snapshot where every fan base gets excited because, again, for a while, it's really good. I remember, guys, I don't know if I've told you this story, but you can stop me if I did. But when I went to an early season game, Kyrie's first year with Boston, I asked all the media, I said, what do you think of Kyrie? And they were all like, yeah, he's great. He's great. I said, all right, I'm going to go away for a couple months, cover some college hoops. I'll be back, and I guarantee it's different. And sure enough, I came back 3 months later. I said, how's Kyrie? Oh, man, you were right. He's brutal to deal with. Again, condescending. That's the biggest word I would use for Kyrie Irving. And I think it affects him in the locker room too, because I've had multiple teammates, former teammates, tell me you had no idea which Kyrie you were going to get. Some days he'd be great, and other days he would be absolutely brutal to play with and to share a locker room with. So listen, Dallas, they're 29-26. They'll probably be in the playoffs. But here's the crazy part, guys. How long ago was it that we were talking about the Brooklyn Nets being the hottest team in the NBA when they had KD and Kyrie? And now Kyrie walked away from that.
He won 19 out of 21, as I recall.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the great. He's still, I had long been saying he never categorically stated why he left Cleveland. It turns out he did say at one point, sort of, that he kind of admitted that he wanted to get his own show.
I don't think he ever admitted it, Bob. I asked him several times.
I thought I saw something this
traded.
week. Because I don't remember reading that at the time.
He wouldn't answer me. Wouldn't answer.
All right, so I've always believed, he never categorically said why he left Cleveland, but we could figure it out, but then he goes and joins up with the Nets. Well, he's got an all-time great player next to him, and
his buddy,
right, the buddy. That's the buddy part, yeah. So what? It's
How is this going to end any better? That's my question. How could it end any better? Because again, it couldn't work with his boy, who also might be the best player on the planet. He walked away from him after they had a hell of a run here, and KD's coming back soon. Well, so he walked away because why? Because of, I guess he was disrespected in his mind. Well, finish it out, try to maybe win a title, and then walk away and get a new contract.
Well, also, though, I want to point back to Harden, because when Harden was with the Nets, he was actually dishing the ball. And we do know, and it wasn't as if that Harden was saying, was keeping the ball from Kyrie. So he had 2-point guards that wanted to pass him the ball.
Yes.
In Brooklyn.
Yes.
And it still wasn't good enough. As I put on my amateur psychiatrist hat, the only thing I could tell you is there are sometimes I've seen players and I've seen entertainers, there's a fear of failure. There's an overwhelming fear of failure. So they say, rather than try, I'm just going to say I'm disrespected or the situation's not right, and they walk away. And while it's arrogant, it's disturbing, it's selfish, it's rude, I just think the guy is afraid to fail. And this is how he externalizes it, by saying, I don't want to deal with it. I'll quit and go somewhere else because I was disrespected. That's what I think.
Talk about it technically for a minute, in terms of the fact that Luka is the most ball dominant.
Right.
Let's talk about that. How's that going to go?
Other than LeBron, who's very dominant, and you don't need a point guard. How that's going to go? How is Luka going to, quote, calibrate, unquote, himself? Down and
loves to dribble. Loves to dribble.
I know he's a totally, and there's been criticism, and one of the problems with the Mavericks, no matter who's the other four guys, is that he's too dominant, and he, and some nights he's cranking the threes when he's not hitting, and I'm not, believe me, I'm a big Luka fan here. Don't get me wrong on this, but I'm just saying that he's right. So it'll be interesting. Now, I may ask you this: is this the right coach? Is there a right coach?
There's not. He could. I mean, honestly, he could have, Michael Jordan coaching him, and I think he feels like he knows more than everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Now we're talking about one of the smartest, greatest point guards that has ever played the game.
Yep.
And whatever, and I'm totally respectful of the ball player that Jason Kidd was. Interesting. He's had mixed results as a coach, but he was, but one thing he knows is that position. Hey,
imagine if your boy Carlisle was still there and had to deal with Luka and Kyrie. That would be it. Carlisle would be done. He'd retire within 6 weeks
later.
Yeah.
So it's, but I find it interesting, and one fact, I don't know what else we can say, but that once he issued the proclamation, they immediately shot away from him. They shut him down. The Nets.
Yeah.
They basically shut him down.
Well, I think that, to wrap it up, I think that Dallas could get to the finals, but I think we all agree nobody's going to win it. I mean, if it works, if he shows up, and if Luka accepts him, they can get to the West, they can get to the finals. But
there's an expiration date, and it's usually pretty quick.
Yeah, well, and it's getting quicker. That's the thing, is it's getting quicker. You're right. So who knows if they would even make it to the finals before he.
Guys, I have a topic, a weekly feature of Ryan Goodman Tangway.
I love this one. I know where you're going with this one.
That we welcome, and I'm sure we do, the newest and most interesting member of a very interesting member of the 40 Point Club. That is young Mr. Cam Thomas, who has not only scored 40 points once this week, he has now scored 40 points in 3 consecutive games for the Brooklyn Nets. At the age of 21, by the way. He won't be 22 until the 13th of this year, of October. October 13th, he turns 22. Okay. In his last 3 games, he has shot in order 16 for 23, 15 for 29, and 11 for 23, which is 42 for 75, while scoring 44, 47, and 43 points. Jeff Goodman, where did this come from?
So I remember talking to Will Wade, who was the coach at LSU, who signed Cam Thomas. And he told me when he signed him, I had never seen Cam in the AAU circuit, but he said, I got this kid coming in and he's going to be better than anything. Remember, they had a pretty good run with Tremont Waters and Naz Reid and some of those dudes. He said, I got a better player than I've had, period, here. He's that electric of a scorer. And he is. I mean, it's just amazing, though, you can take a guy that deep off the bench and all of a sudden he becomes this prolific scorer that nobody can stop. I don't know too many guys that could do it at that level, right? Like you bring like Jeremy Lin came out of nowhere and had that stretch for what? How long was that? 2 months with the Knicks?
I know it was less. It was about 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, could this be one of those? All I'll say is Cam Thomas is wired to score, and he was a late first-round pick.
He was 27th pick in the 2021 draft. The first one was 27th.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing. Former LSU coach Will Wade, probably not surprised by this. Because
I looked him up in my blue ribbon stash behind me here. And when he came in, what Will Wade said that impressed him the most about this kid from Oak Hill Academy that he had brought in was the way he gets to the foul line, that he had a rare precocious ability to get to the foul line. He is an 83% career-free foul shooter, I must tell you, at this moment in time. And that's the one thing he cited as he entered LSU. Not a
great three-point shooter, not considered a great shooter, but this year he's shooting 43% from 3. I bet. I don't know what the numbers are, Bob, in the last 3 games from 3, but my guess is it's probably 50%.
Yeah, it's got to be good. Well, I mean, like if most of the truly great players get better, they work on their games, they get better. Maybe he's going to be one of those guys. One other piece of interesting trivia that I don't know if you knew, he was born in Japan.
Really? Did not know that.
His mother, it said, was working there. Didn't say anything about his father working there. And mother was working there. Eventually, they relocated, of course, and yes, and he wound up at storied Oak Hill Academy. Anyway, Cam Thomas.
He's 14 of 25 from 3 in this 3 game stretch.
At the onset of this month, even this month, 10 days ago, I'll put that. If we suggested that we'd be talking about him as a 3-time member of the 40-point club, this is wow.
Hey. If we had said we'd be talking about him in this podcast, we all
that's right. You're right.
It's the investigative journalism.
And by the way, this all began with the exit of Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know what that
opportunities, right? Opportunities.
Minutes were certainly provided. Yes.
The investigative journalism of one Robert Ryan right here on this podcast. To wrap it up, guys, Bobby Manning of CLNS.com and CLNS Media has a little article up that you can read. Jayson Tatum right now is second in minutes per game, 37.3 minutes per game. A concern because it seems what happens lately, Jeff, is when they do try to rest him, the Celtics get in trouble.
I guess. I mean, listen, he's 24 years old.
Jesus.
He's 24 years old. I'm not overly concerned. We were never concerned about this years ago. And, these guys were playing more minutes than they are now. He's taken a couple games off here and there for load management or his son's birthday party. Maybe take another birthday party day off, whatever, let your kid celebrate another birthday party for Deuce. Why not?
I just get exasperated, of course, with these. He's second. He's not even 40 minutes a game. I mean, I'm sorry. I grew up with John Havlicek. I grew up with all those guys, and it's just a whole different world. I understand. And they're now and better travel conditions. I mean, if you were told these people 50 years ago, 40 years ago that about the travel and the places they'd be staying and the charter flights and the amenities, they wouldn't believe it that could happen. Yeah, but I can see if we were having this conversation about Al, fine. He's 30, he'll be 37 soon, but 24-year-old, I just have a hard time grasping this. I'm sorry. I just can't,
I like it. I got to say, guys, I like it that Jayson Tatum doesn't want to take games off, doesn't want to sit.
Right, he wants to play.
Like this, to me, is refreshing. How many games he's played? 51 games. How many games have they played so far this year? They played, I'll tell you right now, they played 54 games. He's missed 3 games this season. Applaud him for this, and he's playing major minutes. This is what you want to see out of Jayson Tatum. Too many guys, again, are looking at some of those other older stars and load management and saying, hey, give me a day off. Tatum hasn't done that, and Missoula has kind of let him go and he's trusted Jayson Tatum to kind of tell him when he needs a day off.
Well, he definitely wants a ring, but he also wants the MVP.
Yeah, whatever. Listen,
I can tell him right now he's not getting it.
No, I agree.
He's not getting it. I'm sorry. You picked the wrong year. I'm sorry, son. There's too many candidates this year, and you're not at the top of the list.
Come right. He'll be top 5, top 3.
Top 5, yeah.
And he'll get one. He'll get one, but it probably won't be this year. I'm with you.
All right, to wrap it up real quick, who's your pick right now, Bob?
I really don't. I don't have full faith in this team yet, and to do what they need to do when it matters, because games like that Suns game annoy.
Right. Well, but I was wondering, but who's your MVP pick? I mean, you mentioned it.
MVP pick. I would. I don't know. The Joker.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's insane. Right?
I know it'd be his 3rd in a row, but I'm sorry. Larry won 3 in a row. The Kareem won. Russell. It can happen. It's. I don't know. I'm not that crazy about the discussion yet. I still think it's too early. I think I'm on record as saying let's wait till the All-Star game. Well, we're getting.
I'd have Joker at 1. I probably have then in the next tier, Embiid, Tatum.
Yeah, Embiid. I'm sorry.
Luka, Giannis, those guys. Those are your top
Gary,
5 right now.
Gary, if you put the gun to my head, the proverbial Luger, and I would say Embiid is carrying a team as much, and I like it. I'd say Embiid if I vote now, knowing that we got plenty of time to go. Though, I wouldn't want to do it now, but if I had to, I'd say Embiid.
Well, plus with Brooklyn now out of the picture, Embiid, his candidacy, the awareness of it is taken out. Goes up a notch because now it's Boston, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. And one of those 3 could be the NBA champs. So
just to show you how tough and crowded the field is, Giannis went for 54 the other night. Everybody just yawned.
Oh yeah, because they're used to it. Well, that's Giannis. He's supposed to do that.
Oh yeah, okay. So we got 54. All
right, guys. Well, listen, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week. Bob Bryant, Jeff Goodman, and Gary Tanguay along for the ride. Brought to you by HelloFresh. Yes, the favorite culinary experience of the Tanguay family. Real quick, Super Bowl picks. Who you taking, Bob?
Eagles.
What do you got, Jeff?
Yeah, I got Eagles too. I grew up as an Eagles fan. I would say Wilbert Montgomery, Harold Carmichael.
6'8".
Wow. The trombone player, right? High school trombone player. We'll say goodbye. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.